and welcome to Midday Prime. Our top focus today will be on the new farm laws that have been enacted by the centre ahead of the next round of discussions between the government and farmer unions on Wednesday. That and more in this edition of Midday Prime. I'm Untitled. First up, the big news at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivers inaugural address at the virtual India Mobile Congress 2020 through video conference. Calls to work together to make India a global hub for telecom equipment, design, development and manufacturing. Says India is emerging as one of the most preferred destinations for mobile manufacturing. Daily life remains unaffected across the country by the nationwide strike. A call of farmer unions, transport and trade associations skip nationwide strike. Markets and transport open in Delhi and across the country. Centre reiterates commitment to farmers' welfare. Government says it does not oppose the farmers. APMC and MSP will remain in place. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan slams the opposition, says they are shedding crocodile tears. Central team to reach Andhra Pradesh to investigate the mysterious disease that's affected over 350 people. The disease began spreading in Eluru city. India wins toss, selects to field against Australia in the third and final T20 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Kohli retains the same playing 11. Finch is back for Australia. Let's begin the show with the big news that we are tracking at this hour. Daily life remained unaffected across the country by the nationwide strike call of farmers' unions, and transport and trade associations decided to stay away from the nationwide strike. Traders' body CAIT and All India Transporters Welfare Association said that markets across the country will remain open. Both the associations in a joint statement said that all markets in Delhi and across the country will remain fully open and business activities will continue as usual. The transport sector is fully functional and the movement of goods is operational. So there we know that as far as this strike call of trade unions are concerned, it's had a very muted response, or nearly no response in most parts of the country, as transport hasn't been affected. And Delhi Metro, for instance, is continuing to run. It is fully operational with train services on all corridors. The combined fleet of DTC, that is the Delhi Transport Corporation, and cluster scheme buses are also running as usual. That's the situation in Delhi, where things are by and large normal. On the day the Bharat Bandh, a nationwide strike call, was given by farmers' unions. And in Mumbai, best buses are also plying without a hitch. Cab and auto services in Mumbai are normal. Earlier, the Union Home Ministry has sent advisories to states and union territories. It details guidelines to prevent any untoward incident. The states have been asked to ensure that all COVID protocols are followed. That Home Ministry guidelines are sent to the states as well as union territories. The government is in talks with farmers. The next round of talks will take place tomorrow. The centre has reiterated its commitment to farmers' welfare. The government has said it does not oppose the farmers and has criticized those seeking to gain political mileage from the issue. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar has assured that the government stands with farmers and reiterated that APMC and MSP will remain in place.
पूरा विश्वास है कि ये मसला हल होगा। किसान हमारे हैं और किसान के मन में कोई आशंका है तो दूर करना भी हमारा काम है। हम करेंगे और सफलता से करेंगे, क्योंकि उनको दो ही बातें मुख्य है। उनको चाहिए कि एपीएमसी रहेगी या जाएगी, तो इसका उत्तर साफ है कि एपीएमसी रहेगी। ये दूसरा मुद्दा था उनके मन में कि एमएसपी रहेगी कि नहीं, तो एमएसपी थी, एमएसपी है और एमएसपी रहेगी।
So let's now take a look at what the new farm laws really entail, and let's try and differentiate myth from reality on the various aspects related to the 3 farm laws that were recently enacted by Parliament in September. So the myth is that MSP system will end. You heard Union Minister Prakash Javadekar just say that the MSP system is going to continue. There is no taking away the MSP system. The states have to enforce this, and the states can enforce this going forward. Another myth being trading at mandis is going to stop. So APMC mandis will become unfunctional and trading will stop at those mandis. The reality is different. Trading at mandis is going to continue. It's been continuing since the passage of the 3 laws, and that is going to continue. Another myth is that there will be revenue loss of APMC mandis. The reality is that states or APMCs will continue to have regulatory powers to impose mandi fees or any other charges as they have been doing. So the reality is that APMC mandis as well as states can impose their cess or fees, and the revenue would be by and large what it has been so far. That's one important point. Another point is that new provisions are anti-farmer. This is a myth that has been propagated by some vested interests. The reality is that the farmers have been given the option to sell their produce elsewhere. So there are several marketing options that have been given to farmers. They can sell their produce inside the APMC mandis. They can sell their agricultural produce outside the APMC mandis in private markets as well. So there is direct selling by farmers that has been allowed at a place of their choice. Another myth is that farmer payments won't be safeguarded. The reality is different. The reality is that payments have to be made to farmers within 3 working days. Otherwise, there is a dispute resolution mechanism that will kick into force, and the subdivisional magistrate will have to take a decision within 1 month on any dispute that is taken up by the farmer with regard to any contract issue or with regard to any payment that is not made to farmer within 3 working days. Another myth is the big companies to exploit small farmers. That is, of course, not true, because like I said, there is a dispute resolution mechanism that will kick in if farmers are denied payment or if they are exploited in any manner by the contractors. Well, another myth is that farmers will stand to lose all in all. The reality is different. Farmers will benefit through better technology and better market. So through better technology and better market, farmers will stand to gain. Another myth is with regard to infringement into states' powers of making legislation. The reality is that the centre is very much competent to legislate on interstate trade and even on intrastate trade under the union list and the concurrent list, under which those laws have been enacted by Parliament in September. Well, the opposition's doublespeak on farm laws. You heard Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan speak on this. You've heard Ravi Shankar Prasad in the past speak on this. 2019 Congress manifesto promises repeal of the APMC Act and freeing trade in agricultural produce from all restrictions. It promises to allow exports. It promises to allow intrastate trade. So all of that was contained in the APMC in the Congress manifesto of 2019. It even wanted to repeal the APMC Act, which is not the case even today with the enactment of the 3 laws. In January 2013, Rahul Gandhi backed agricultural reforms in a conference of Congress chief ministers that happened in January 2013. Let's take a look at what Rahul Gandhi said at that point in time to Congress chief ministers who were there in that conference. That's coming up next. Well, he said farmers will be able to sell directly under the model APMC Act of the centre, which he wanted the Congress chief ministers to implement in their states, and also delist fruits and vegetables from the restrictions that they can sell only within APMCs. In 2010, the then Agriculture Minister Sharad Pawar had written 2 letters, one to Sheila Dikshit, the then Delhi Chief Minister, and also to Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who was the then Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister as well, asking them to implement the model APMC Act. That's coming up next. And there were also conditions attached, and there were consequences attached if that were not to happen in those 2 states, because this is what Sharad Pawar's letter said. No financial assistance will be given by the centre to those 2 states if mandis are not reformed and private players are not allowed. So this was a clear instruction that came in from the then Union Agriculture Minister Sharad Pawar to the two chief ministers. This is what Sharad Pawar said in an interview in 2005. He said that mandis will be abolished in 6 months. So in other words, what the UPA government could not do in 10 years, the NDA government has managed to do, and now we are seeing doublespeak by various opposition parties. There are at least 19 opposition parties that have in fact supported this protest by farmers or the call for a nationwide strike, and there are at least 11 state governments, most of which are Congress governments in various states, that have backed this stir. There is clear doublespeak because the Congress as well as the NCP and several other parties had different ideas in mind when they were in government, when they were in power, but now in the opposition, they have very conveniently shifted their stance. Well, and now we'll show you on screen how normal life remains unaffected across the country. Transport and trade associations have skipped the nationwide strike, and markets and transport are all open in Delhi and in the country as a whole. So this is the picture that you are seeing from 8 places: Delhi, Mumbai, Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Hyderabad, Goa, Punjab and Haryana and Andhra Pradesh, where you are looking at how markets are open, how the commuters are plying normally, how the cars are plying, how people on a bicycle are cycling. You can look at how buses are moving in a normal manner, how trucks are moving. The markets are open, and there is not any sign of closure anywhere. And that is the situation in the National Capital Region as well as elsewhere. The National Capital Region being the epicenter of the protest, and things running pretty normally here, from markets to buses to cabs to auto rickshaws to Delhi Metro. Similar situation in Mumbai as well, where best buses are plying, auto services are functional, as well as cab services are functional. So by and large, you are looking at a very, very muted impact or no impact at all of the so-called nationwide strike or Bharat Bandh call given by trade unions ahead of the 6th round of talks that will be taking place between farmer unions and the centre tomorrow, that is on Wednesday. Our correspondents are joining us now. Arun is joining us from Delhi, Anibrato is joining us from Kolkata, and Aisha is joining us from Bangalore. Arun, I'll come to you. First, what is your assessment of the impact of the so-called nationwide strike in Delhi? Are most services unaffected, particularly essential services? And second, ahead of tomorrow's talks, is the government doing its groundwork to further press the point that these 3 farm laws are pro-farmer and nothing else?
Yes, importantly, if you look at Delhi NCR scenario, all the transport mechanisms are in place. That means the buses are working, the metro rails are working. When we talk about the Traders Association, the Traders Association or the CAITS clearly mentioned this point that they are not supporting this Bandh. And of course, when we talk about the various outlets, the shopkeepers, all the shops primarily, so they all are open. So all in all, primarily, if you look at this way, the Delhi NCR region is completely open and there is no impact of any kind of Bandh. There are close to 500 farmer organization union primarily in our country, and out of which only 30 are called for this kind of Bandh, and out of which also some of the organization and the unions primarily skipped the nationwide Bandh primarily. So now, if you look at the Delhi NCR region primarily, the sense is that primarily the entire Delhi NCR is open. There is no impact as far as this Bandh is concerned. To answer your second question, yes, it's an important meeting going forward tomorrow, and the centre is clarifying it on every level that these 3 farm laws will primarily play an important role in doubling up the farmers' income. And ahead of this important meeting, if you look at this way, be it the UPA, be it the other political parties, they have time and again, in the past have favored the favored these kind of agriculture reforms in our country. Some of the leaders like Congress, even Sharad Pawar for that matter, has clearly mentioned this point that APMC should be repealed from our country. A model APMC should be designed whereby private mandis should be given a major push. So all these things have been said by various political parties in the past. But now when the NDA government has passed this 3 important farm bills, and these laws have been passed, which ensures the doubling of the farmers' income, which ensures that the agriculture infrastructure will be better in place, which ensures the mandis will be upgraded technologically in our country. So now these political parties are speaking doubly on. That means, this primarily is a hypocrite primarily, whereby you earlier voting, but if in case you could not implement these kind of laws in our country, the farmers are of the view that they want to talk, and that's the reason they are convinced on this part that they are ready to talk with the center. And yes, that's the reason why tomorrow's talk with the center and the farmer association and the organization will be very much crucial on that aspect, because the government on one side will try to ensure and convince the farmers on each and every issue. Now these farmers laws primarily will ensure doubling of the farmers' income and giving bigger and a better market place for these farmers to sell their stuff without touching the current system in the market. That means without touching the MSP, without touching the APMC, they're providing another big market and ecosystem. So that's what the center is doing ahead of an important meeting. Burman.
Yes, Arun, stay with us. I shall come to you. We can see vehicles plying behind you. The markets are open, so normal life largely unaffected in Bengaluru and most of Karnataka as well.
Well, Munmun, the North Karnataka, the Congress has managed to mobilize the farmers across Dharwad, Bagalkot and other districts in rural areas. So farmers came out in large numbers to protest, but in cities and especially in Bangalore, we see that there is absolutely lukewarm response to the Bharat Bandh, because people now know that they cannot afford to shut their businesses even for one day, because since the lockdown, they have incurred crores of rupees losses. So the people say that the Bandh is not the solution to the farmers' issue as such. And the farmers themselves also know the fact that they have to sit and talk with the government for a permanent solution. Remember, the Karnataka farmers have been very progressive right from the beginning. Karnataka has India's largest e-mandi in Tumkur, from where the farmers have been in a very methodical way, they have been selling their produce. And now this is what the new law also talks about. And many farmers are unaware of the fact that this new bills, the three farm bills, means empowerment to the farmers. So this has not been told to them. The farmers are just given a very superficial narration, a superficial narrative of what is there in the bill. So here in Karnataka, we see that most of the farmers are progressive, and they realize that even in the APMCs, there is no solution to their distress. Whenever there is a distress produce like tomato or coconut, they throw it on roads. The APMC has never come to their rescue anytime. So the farmers only hope that with these new farm bills, their interest will be protected and they will be in better way to sell their produce to the better buyer with a better price. And we also spoke to some farmers in rural Karnataka in Dharwad district also, where they said that even earlier, they have avoided going to the mandis because they have been victims of corruption, they have been victims of agents' commissions. So they feel that this new law will give them certain protection. So in this manner, the farmers in Karnataka are well aware of the empowerment that the bill is talking about for their benefit. And that is why we see that people in Karnataka, though they support the farmers' cause, they say that the APMCs should be reformed. There has to be new laws and new regulations where the farmers are not exploited. And perhaps that is the reason why people are now talking out openly even to the farmers and telling them how these bills benefit them. And that is how we see that, Bangalore seems to be very normal. The public transport is functioning. People are out today. People, for some time, they stayed indoors because Congress gave a call for a rally across the city and asked people to join in large numbers. So people feared that this could take some political turn. So that was the only reason. And now people realize that the Bharat Bandh is no solution to the farmers' problem, and people are also convincing the farmers. They are talking to the farmers on road and telling them the benefits of the farm bills, and they feel that the only solution is to talk to the government, listen to the government, and get to know the bill properly, which empowers them and gets them better price for their produce.
So there is a large constituency in Bengaluru particularly that feels that the new farm laws are meant for farmers' welfare and are benefiting farmers. Well, Anibrato, is it business as usual in Kolkata?
Yeah, Moon. As usual, as we find in all other days, and elaborate security arrangement has been made here, there and everywhere in Kolkata. And the thing is that, as you know, the protesters had called for complete Chakka jam from 11 to 3 p.m. today, but it hardly has any impact here in the city, because as you see, the vehicles are as normal as the other days and it's flying down the road. Bus, taxis, autos and rickshaws, everything is there. Both the government and the private buses are there. They are in large number. The busy thoroughfares, what we find in other days is as good as, what we find today. And as this Chakka jam tenure doesn't fall in the office time, so normal attendance we have found in the offices, but the thing is that the striking unions, and the protesters have put a blockade in several places in Kolkata that certainly thwarted the movement of the traffic in some places. And the one thing is quite striking, that is quite unlikely. What you find in every time that the Trinamool Congress government issues order, the Home Department issues order to the police and give them power to throttle any such of the obstacles that are made. But this time, strikingly, this is not there. So we have found that the left trade unions and the left unions, they have put a blockade at some points, and the suburban trains that connect come from the outer of Kolkata to Kolkata at several places. The movement been disrupted. The protesters have put a blockade at some places. Otherwise, normal humdrum is there. The hustling and bustling in the city is there. And
Anibrato, it's coming to light that the opposition parties across the country, which are now backing the farmers' protests, have done a lot of double-speak over the last 2-3 months. After the passage of the farm laws in Parliament, it's come to light that the Trinamool Congress in 2011 in its manifesto had promised APMC reforms, and after that it even followed up with 2 amendments in their own laws to allow for those reforms to happen, to enable those reforms. Is this an occasion where the double-speak of the opposition is coming to the fore?
Yeah, because Moon, it's quite unlikely in the truest sense of word that the political parties have entered into the fray, because the parties that are against the BJP and the political parties against BJP, those who are in power in different states, they are largely given support to the this protest and the farmers' agitations that are largely there. But the thing is that new law is very much imperative to match with the change time, because it will give access and lend access to the farmers to sell their product at the greater, it will lend a greater avenue to them to sell their product, and they can choose their customers whatever they want to. But the thing is that these political parties have made them scary in the truest sense, because it is only trying to derive their own benefit, because election is very much nearby in West Bengal. It is due in the next year. So Trinamool Congress has given its full weightage behind this agitation, and certainly is trying in any way or other to derive the profit out of it. Moon.
Shama is joining us from Mumbai. Shama, what's the situation in Mumbai? The last we heard, the best buses were plying and cab and auto services were normal. Is that the situation?
Yes, this is the situation still, and all the buses have already told earlier also that they will not be participating in the strike. And on sensitive routes, the best buses which would be plying, they have iron net on them so that if any untoward incident like stone pelting happens, so then the commuters also and the buses also safe. Apart from that, APMCs have participated in the Bandh. Although the farmers which have come from outside the state or from long places, they have been able to give their produce to the APMCs, but no selling is happening there. Apart from this, the Retailers Association had already said that they would not be participating in that. They've already suffered the lockdown losses, and now they don't want to be part of this. So all the shops, restaurants, everything is on. We can go and have, we can buy anything what we want. Apart from this, the Mumbai police have told everyone, any outfit who tries to forcefully shut the shops would be booked under the law, and therefore only at few places, the political outfits are protesting some short protests, chanting these slogans that they would be, in support of the farmers' protest. Apart from this, we've spoken already on the farmers' protest that they have been telling people, they've been urging people, whoever is coming out in their support, they should not cause any problem to the common man, and that is why their protest is peaceful. However, the political parties have entered this particular bandh, and they are trying to, have attention, and by, like I said, they are staging protests at many places. Some of the political parties have also staged rail roko, but yes, the police were already there, and the problem was resolved very soon. So overall, a mixed response, we could say, from the rural Maharashtra is coming. And in Mumbai, as we always say, that the life goes on. So in Mumbai, we can't say that there is any effect of the Bharat Bandh, but yes, in rest of Maharashtra, rest of APMCs, there can be some effect seen of the Bharat Bandh.
Thank you, Shama, Anibrato, Aisha, as well as Arun for having joined us with those updates. Well, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that the farm bills were introduced when the Congress was in power, and now they are making a U-turn.
प्रधानमंत्री थे मनमोहन सिंह जी, एक ने अनेकों बार जब भी अनौपचारिक चर्चा होती थी, वो मॉडल एपीएमसी एक्ट लागू करने की बात करते थे, और सोनिया जी चेयरपर्सन थी। अब जब वही एक्ट माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी, उनसे बड़ा किसानों का हितैषी हिंदुस्तान में कोई नहीं है, जब वो लागू करते हैं तो कांग्रेस यू टर्न ले लेती है। इतने नहीं, अभी अभी 2019 में, ये सियासत देखिए कांग्रेस की, 2019 के मैनिफेस्टो में इसी कांग्रेस ने साफ साफ लिखा था, कांग्रेस एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस मार्केट कमेटी एक्ट को निरस्त कर देगी और कृषि उत्पादों के व्यापार की व्यवस्था करेगी, जिसमें निर्यात और अंतर्राज्य व्यापार भी शामिल होगा, जो सभी प्रतिबंधों से मुक्त होगा। उनके घोषणा पत्र अब भी वेबसाइट पर पड़ा हुआ है।
Shivraj Singh Chauhan also attacked Rahul Gandhi over hypocrisy. He said that Congress's manifesto mentioned the abolition of APMC Act, and the hypocrisy of Congress is out for everyone to see.
27 दिसंबर 2013 को राहुल गांधी जी ने कहा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके कि कांग्रेस शासित राज्य एपीएमसी एक्ट के तहत फलों और सब्जियों को डीलिस्ट कर देंगे। ये राहुल गांधी जी कह रहे हैं, और अब ये दोगलापन देखिए, ये पाखंड देखिए, और ये राजनीतिक अवसरवादिता देखिए कि वही काम किसानों के हित में जब माननीय मोदी जी ने कर दिया तो अब आप उसका विरोध कर रहे हैं, भारत बंद की बात कर रहे हैं। मैडम सोनिया गांधी जी, किसान भी समझ रहा है और देश भी समझ रहा है, आप देश में आग लगाना चाहती है, कांग्रेस देश को हिंसा की आग में झोंकना चाहते हैं, और बाकी पार्टियां भी सियासत कर रही हैं।
The Chief Minister also said that Sharad Pawar rolled out the talks for introducing the Model APMC Act, and DMK and Aam Aadmi Party also supported agrarian reforms. He said that NCP, Shiv Sena and Trinamool Congress also supported agrarian reforms in the past.
मुझे कहते हुए तकलीफ है कि ये सारे राजनीतिक दलों ने, इंक्लूडिंग कांग्रेस, मेरे पास शरद पवार जी की चिट्ठी रखी हुई है, जो मुख्यमंत्रियों को शरद पवार जी ने लिखी थी जब वो कृषि मंत्री थे। उस समय श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी जी चेयरपर्सन थी यूपीए की, उस समय माननीय मनमोहन सिंह जी प्रधानमंत्री थे भारत के, और तब मुझे शरद पवार लिखते हैं चिट्ठी, जब मैं मुख्यमंत्री था 2011 में, माय डियर शिवराज सिंह जी, और लिखते हुए उसमें मैं केवल 2 लाइन पढ़ना चाहूंगा, उससे ज्यादा पढ़ने की मुझे जरूरत नहीं है, जिसमें उन्होंने पूरी प्रखरता के साथ मुझे आग्रह किया था कि एपीएमसी मॉडल एक्ट लागू किया जाए। देयर इज ए नीड टू अमेंड द प्रेजेंट एपीएमसी एक्ट ऑन द लाइंस ऑफ द मॉडल एपीएमसी एक्ट 2003 in order to encourage private sector investment in marketing infrastructure and providing alternate competing marketing channels in the overall interest of the farmers, consumers and agricultural trade.
Let's now move on to our developing story. A central team will be in Andhra Pradesh to investigate a mysterious disease that has begun spreading in the state's Eluru city, affecting over 350 people so far. Earlier on Monday, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu spoke to Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan after scores of children were hospitalized with an undiagnosed illness in the past few days. The Vice President asked the Health Minister to extend all necessary help in diagnosing and providing treatment to the afflicted children. And the Union Health Minister and the Director of AIIMS assured the Vice President that treatment would be taken up upon diagnosis of the illness on receiving the reports of the blood samples. Meanwhile, all necessary measures are being taken to ascertain the reasons for the illness among the children. A door-to-door survey is being conducted and medical teams from Guntur and Krishna districts have been pressed into service. Our correspondent Vidya is now joining us. Vidya, has a central team reached?
Central team has reached, and until now 514 people are affected with this mysterious disease, which is seen for the past 3-4 days. And the patients are developing dizziness, headache and epilepsy-like symptoms. And most of the cases are reported from Eluru and its surroundings itself. And these patients are recovering fast in a couple of days. And of these, 358 were discharged and still 156 are in hospital taking the treatment. And of them, 17 are shifted to Vijayawada and Guntur General Hospitals for further treatment.
Yes.
And medical teams from various hospitals in West Godavari and Krishna district, staff and water secretaries and officials of the revenue and police departments are attending the patients in the camps, and they are rushing the patients to the hospitals. And
Vidya,
all the patients,
Vidya, what are the symptoms that are being exhibited by the patients in this case?
Initially, they are feeling the dizziness and headache, and later epilepsy-like symptoms are being reported.
Okay, so those are the symptoms that are being exhibited.
Yes.
The reports
And,
of blood samples are awaited, I understand. By when do we expect those reports to come in?
Reports, the food and water samples and blood samples have been sent to the forensic laboratory, and the reports are awaited. CT scan and X-ray reports of the patients are normal, and even the COVID reports are being normal. They are negative. All the patients are COVID negative. And the central team is being visiting the Vijayawada, and they are talking with the patients and the doctors' team. And this team, which is comprising Dr. Jamshed Nair from AIIMS Delhi, Avinash from NIV Pune, and Sankit Kulkarni, Deputy Director, National Center for Disease Control, New Delhi. This team is being talking with the people and the doctors, and maybe we are expecting the report to be coming this evening.
Right, Vidya. So Vidya telling us that a central team comprising members from AIIMS Delhi, NIV Pune and NCDC Delhi has reached in Andhra Pradesh. They're trying to investigate this mysterious outbreak that has taken place where people are exhibiting symptoms of diarrhea, etc. Well, we'll understand more on this with time as diagnosis takes place of this particular disease. For now, all the health interventions seem to be in place. Let's move on now to a national prime segment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered the inaugural address at the virtual India Mobile Congress 2020 today through a video conference. And the theme for IMC 2020 is inclusive, innovation, smart, secure, sustainable. It aims to align to the Prime Minister's vision to promote Atmanirbhar Bharat, digital inclusivity and sustainable development. Entrepreneurship and innovation. It also aims to drive foreign and local investments, encourage R&D in the telecom sector and emerging technology sectors. Addressing the event, Prime Minister said that it is because of mobile technology that we are able to provide benefits worth billions of dollars to millions of Indians.
It is because of mobile technology that we are able to provide benefits worth billions of dollars to millions of Indians. It is because of our mobile technology that we are able to help the poor and vulnerable quickly during the pandemic. It is because of mobile technology that we are seeing billions of cashless transactions which boosts formalization and transparency. It is because of mobile technology that we will enable smooth, contactless interface on toll booths. It is also with the help of mobile technology that we will embark on one of the world's largest.
PM Modi also said that the government aims to bring high-speed fiber optic connectivity in every village over the next 3 years.
We are a country where the tariffs are the lowest in the world. We are one of the fastest growing mobile app market in the world. The digital potential of our nation is unparalleled. We have achieved much success in mobile manufacturing in India. India is emerging as one of the most preferred destinations for mobile manufacturing. We have also come up with a production link incentive scheme to promote telecom equipment manufacturing in India. We are embarking on a plan to ensure that over the next 3 years, every village will have high-speed fiber optic connectivity. We are keen to ensure greater spread of fixed line broadband connectivity and public Wi-Fi hotspots.
PM Modi also said that we are a country where the tariffs are the lowest in the world. We are one of the fastest growing mobile app markets in the world.
Today, we have over 750 million internet users. The scale and speed of internet penetration can be seen by the following facts. Half of the total internet users in India were added in the last 4 years. Half of the total internet users are in our rural areas. Our digital size and our digital appetite are unprecedented.
PM said due to technological upgradation, we have a culture of replacing handsets and gadgets frequently.
Due to technological upgradation, we have a culture of replacing handsets and gadgets frequently. Can the industry form a task force to think of a better way of handling the electronic waste and create a circular economy?
India has achieved a significant milestone in the fight against COVID. The new confirmed cases in the last 24 hours have fallen below 27,000. They are 26,567 for the first time after nearly 5 months. The new cases were 26,506 last on the 10th of July 2020. With a high number of COVID patients recovering every day and the sustained fall in the mortality rate, India's steady trend of registering dipping active cases continues. In another achievement, India's active caseload has fallen under the 4% mark today. The active cases have drastically declined to 3.83 lakh. The total positive cases of the country are 3,83,866 and comprise 3.96% of the total cases. 39,045 new recoveries were registered during the last 24 hours. It has led to a net decline of 12,863 cases from the total active caseload in the last 24 hours. New recoveries outnumbering the daily number of cases has also improved the recovery rate to 94.59% today. The total recovered cases stand at 91,78,946. 76.31% of the new recovered cases are contributed by 10 states and union territories. With 7,345 persons recovering from COVID, Maharashtra has recorded the maximum number of recoveries. Kerala has registered another 4,705 daily recoveries, while Delhi has reported 3,880 new recoveries in the past 24 hours. 10 states and union territories have contributed 72.5% of the total cases. Kerala has reported 3,272 cases in the last 24 hours. Maharashtra recorded 3,075 new cases, while West Bengal has registered 2,240 new cases yesterday. 75.58% of the 385 case fatalities that were reported in the past 24 hours are from 10 states and union territories. India has been a mighty warrior in the fight against COVID-19. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, 27 states and union territories have less than 15,000 active cases of COVID-19. So 27 states and UTs have less than 15,000 active cases. And with rigorous measures, India is acing its battle against the coronavirus pandemic. According to the ICMR, a total number of samples tested up to 7th December is 14,88,14,055. Out of this, 10,26,399 samples were tested yesterday. And in Midday Prime, it's time for news and updates from the world of business. And my colleague Ajay Mishra joins us now with Business Prime.
Thanks, Woman. Welcome all to Business Prime. Let's start with the stock market first. Among headline indices, the S&P BSE Sensex was trading at 180 points higher at 45,614 levels. The index hit an intraday high of 45,729. Meanwhile, the broader Nifty 50 index was hovering around 13,400 mark. Reliance Industries was up 2%, was the top Sensex gainer, followed by Maruti Suzuki, Ultratech Cement and HCL Tech Cement, all up by 1%. If we see the current market trend, the Nifty 50 is up by 58 points at 13,414. BSE Sensex is 250 points up at 45,676. Bank Nifty is up. IT stocks is also edging up. Small cap and mid cap, however, they have underperformed than the broader market. The Nifty auto and capital goods are also trading in negative. But the overall index, especially led by banks, are doing pretty good at this point in time. Reliance, as we have seen, that the Reliance SBI, Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Finance and SDFC Bank are very, very active right now. Ultratech Cement, TCS, Reliance, Wipro and HCL Tech are up between 1 and 3%. While Hindalco, Adani Port, Coal India, Sun Pharma, IndusInd Bank are the top losers in Nifty. PAC down between 1 and 2.5%. Meanwhile, the liquidity is in abundance in the market, and that's why the markets are actually scaling new heights every day. And India will not worry about its missing the budget deficit targets as it seeks to step up spending to support the economy. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said the stimulus spending won't be wound down in a hurry. She said in an interview to Bloomberg TV. Also, the government will ensure that the state-owned enterprises continue with capital expenditure. Last month, India expanded stimulus measures to 15% of the economy to rescue companies and save jobs lost due to the coronavirus pandemic. That could widen the budget gap to 8% of the gross domestic product in the year to March, more than the double of the targeted 3.5. But it's a very categorical statement from the finance minister that at this point in time deficit doesn't matter, and whatsoever comes, government will spend, and government is actually monitoring the expenditure from the center as well as from the states every 15 days, and also have sensitized the PSU, especially the PSU companies, to actually speed up the investment in their respective sectors. That's all in the Business Prime. For more news and updates, we'll go back to Moon.
Yes, Ajay, thank you so much for that roundup. Let's now have a look at what's making news across the globe. Let's now take an update on the COVID-19 pandemic from across the world. As of now, more than 6 crore 78 lakh coronavirus cases have been reported worldwide, with over 15 lakh 49,000 deaths. Over 4 crore 69 lakh people have recovered from the virus. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far, with the highest number of infections. The US has recorded over 1 crore 53 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 2 lakh 90,000. In UK, Margaret Keenan, a 90-year-old grandmother, has become the first person in the world to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine outside of a trial following its rapid clinical approval. Keenan received the jab at a local hospital in Coventry, Central England on Tuesday. Britain began rolling out the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech on Tuesday, the first Western country to start vaccinating its general population in what was hailed as a decisive watershed moment in defeating the coronavirus. The mass inoculation will fuel hope that the world may be turning a corner in the fight against a pandemic that has crushed economies and killed more than 1.5 million people, although ultra-cold storage and tricky logistics will limit its use for now. 850 pre-kindergarten and elementary schools in New York City reopened on Monday after an abrupt shutdown of all city schools more than 2 weeks ago due to a rise in COVID-19 cases. Following this, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said, and I quote, "If our children can do all these things, we all can do it right too. There's joy and there's hope again because kids are back in school." During the summer, de Blasio fought hard to reopen classrooms in contrast to other big city districts that opened with online instruction only. Schools will still be subject to closure by the state if their local communities experience high rates of infection. The city's new plan allows in-person learning 5 days a week where possible for the first time since the pandemic struck the city. France is still far from reducing its numbers of COVID-19 cases per day to 5,000, and the risk of a strong rebound of the pandemic remains high, as announced by France's health ministry. French health authorities on Monday reported over 3,411 new COVID-19 infections over the past 24 hours, sharply down from 11,022 on Sunday, but the number of people hospitalized for the disease increased for the second day, the first time it has done so in 3 weeks. The Monday figures tend to dip as there are fewer tests conducted on Sundays. The 7-day moving average of new infections, which averages out weekly data reporting irregularities, stood at 10,489. France's cumulative number of cases now totals 22,95,908, the fifth highest tally in the world. IAG airline Iberia completed its third passenger to freight conversion to tackle the drop in flights due to the coronavirus pandemic. Workers removed all the 270 seats from the Airbus 330 and fastened netting to floor rails where the seats used to be anchored. The aircraft can transport a total of 18 tons of load. The first route of this renewed aircraft will be to Caracas in Venezuela. Other routes for cargo flights included so far are Los Angeles, Israel and China. Director of Iberia Aircraft Maintenance, Oscar Perez, says that this transformation comes from Iberia Airlines to adapt to the current circumstances on the market. However, the airline sees this transformation as something temporary, hoping the industry recovers soon to put again the seats back. In the early months of the pandemic, Iberia's flight operations were almost exclusively confined to repatriation flights and flights carrying emergency medical supplies, with a drop between 80 and 90% of flights. And it's time now for stories from the world of sports. My colleague Narayan joins us with all the sports action.
Thanks, Muzman. Let's get started with the stories from the India tour of Australia. India won the toss and decided to field against Australia in the third T20 at Sydney Cricket Ground today. The Virat Kohli-led side would look to sweep the 3-match T20 series. Team India has already clinched the series 2-0 after chasing down Australia's total of 194 in the second T20. Today, India started their innings on a positive note as Men in Blue grabbed an early wicket. Washington Sundar dismissed Aaron Finch for duck. Soon, Steve Smith became Sundar's second victim. Currently, Australia are batting on 112 for the loss of 2 wickets. India had last swept Australia 3-0 back in 2016 in the T20 series down under. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Kiren Rijiju promised the President of World Doping Agency that India would support all efforts to ensure the field of sports remains clean. Sports Minister said this while inaugurating a national webinar under the joint aegis of National Anti-Doping Agency and National Sports University Manipur. Rijiju also mentioned that the National Anti-Doping Agency NADA is committed in efforts to get rid of the doping menace and is implementing all the anti-doping rules made by WADA. Breakdancing has been added as an Olympic sport for the 2024 being held in Paris. The decision was confirmed by the International Olympic Committee on Monday as it seeks to attract young audience to the historic competition. The idea was proposed 2 years ago after trials at the 2018 Youth Olympics in Buenos Aires. Argentina proved a success. At the Youth Games, the contestants faced each other in one-on-one dance-off.
We at the same time confirmed for new sports, the skateboarding, sport climbing, surfing and breaking as additional sports following the proposal of the Paris 2024 organizing committee. But all of these four, again, within the quota of the 10,500 athletes I mentioned. With this program for the Olympic Games Paris 2024, we want to make the Olympic Games fit for the post-coronavirus world.
Now shifting focus to football, Lionel Messi's rivalry with Cristiano Ronaldo has enthralled football for the better part of a decade, and the pair will duel again when the Barcelona hosts Juventus in the Champions League tonight. The two titans of the modern game who split ownership of the Ballon d'Or award between 2008 to 2017 were talismans of Spanish giants Barcelona and Real Madrid until Ronaldo left the Spanish capital for Juventus in 2018. Barcelona will be looking to secure first place in Group G. Both the sides have already booked their spot in the last 16 of the competition, while Barca have a 3-point cushion over the second place Juventus, meaning that the old lady have serious work to do if they are to snatch first place for Ronald Koeman's side on the final match day. The Catalan Giants are very much in control of first place in the group and will only give up the top spot to Juve if they lose by a margin of 3 goals or more. In another crucial match, Manchester United will be looking to book their spot in the last 16 of the Champions League when they face RB Leipzig in Germany tonight. The English Giants are level on points with both Leipzig and PSG in the fascinating Group H and need to avoid defeat at the Red Bull Arena in order to progress to the knockout round. United were in an excellent position in the group after match day 2 with back-to-back wins over PSG and Leipzig, seeing them firmly take charge of the group. A damaging 2-1 loss in Istanbul followed though, and now Solskjaer's team are sweating on a spot in the round of 16. The Red Devils did manage to return to winning ways at home to Başakşehir on November 24, but a 3-1 home defeat to PSG last week means they have to work to do in order to advance to the knockout round of the UEFA Champions League. A big match today, a rivalry between Ronaldo and Messi is there tonight in the Champions League. Meanwhile, in English Premier League, Danny Ings returned from injury to score a controversial winner from the penalty spot as Southampton came from behind to beat Brighton 2-1 on Monday and climbed to 5th in the Premier League. Brighton took the lead from the spot with Pascal Gross sending goalkeeper Alex McCarthy the wrong way after the James Ward-Prowse handled the ball in the area. Southampton found an equalizer just before half-time when Jan Vestergaard produced a towering header from a Ward-Prowse's corner. Then, with 9 minutes remaining, substitute Danny Ings fired home after Southampton were awarded a spot kick, with Brighton players claiming the foul took place outside the area. Again, the VAR controversy is there in English Premier League. And that's all from the sporting arena. For more updates, back to you, Manman.
Thanks, Narayan, for that roundup. Now it's time for our next segment. It's called Live Prime, where we bring you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation. Stories that are bringing smiles, stories that are changing lives. In Italy's Gubbio, one of the largest Christmas trees of the world was lit up. The tradition of lighting up the entire slope of Mount Ingino was followed, connecting over 400 colored lights. The event was live streamed online to discourage people from gathering due to the COVID restrictions. The tradition began in 1981, and this year the organizers hope it will bring some hope and light at the end of a difficult year. That's the festive spirit ahead of Christmas in Italy, and that's it then in this edition of Midday Prime. Do remember to wear your mask whenever you step out of your homes and be part of Doordarshan's Mask Up India campaign. Stay tuned, stay healthy, namaskar.